talk first, before Barry gets on to the problem statement, something very briefly about our business. One could think that it's a very simple business where it's a trading business where you just take the stocks and display it and its sales goes through. But it's a lot more complex, simply because there are a lot of processes involved to make it right. When I say make it right, getting it right for the consumer on one side, their experience part of it, as well as at the back end of improving the productivity, because it's a high turnover, small margin business. So any improvement in the productivity will have a significant impact on the bottom line. While at the front end, processes, whether it's the process of queuing or checking out or all that, in terms of the consumer experience point of view, there are different processes. And if you get it right, you end up with a very loyal consumer. So on top of it, if you take Keells, our point of differentiation against the competition is innovation. And that is where we have differentiating ourselves. You possibly may have walked into our new outlet down Lorries, and you would have got an understanding of the type of innovation that we are looking at for the consumer. But what you will not see is the innovation on process improvements that are done at the back end. So what Barry's the problem that we want to share with you is regarding our logistic operation. And at the end of last month, we opened a state-of-the-art warehouse, 250,000 square foot warehouse, with the intention of supporting our expanding supermarket chain. So Barry, you would like to take over from here and explain the problem that we would want the teams to solve?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Charity. Well, continue on that theme. Over the last 7 years or so, Keells have invested a lot of money in a centralized supply chain that has, as Charity alluded to, the customer at its heart. And the principles really is continually improving service coupled with continually reducing cost, which may sound a contradiction in term, but that's the balance that every retailer in the world is trying to achieve. So the distribution centre you see behind me will be responsible for supplying something in the region of about 80% of everything that you would buy in a Keells super. We expected to provide significant capacity, a superior store service, and as Jared has said, at a lower cost than we were able to achieve with our existing operations. Now, to achieve this operation, it's, as Chad has said, it is, or it can be quite a complex operation. And one of the biggest objectives in any organisation that runs a complex operation is how do you simplify them? This operation will deal with some 5,000 lines of fast-moving staple lines to imported lines, non-food items, fruit and vegetables, chilled food. And each category brings its own challenges, its quality standards, and the working practices. So it's got a number of moving parts. The obvious ones are labour, and it's quite a labour-intensive process. This particular DC is expected to employ some 500 or so people. It has a specialist design fleet of delivery vehicles to improve efficiency at stores. There's mechanical handling equipment and store delivery equipment. If you go into any Keells supermarket, you'll see fresh produce in plastic crates, roll cages for deliveries. And these are the sort of incremental changes that we've been putting through over the years. Likewise, the warehouse doesn't have rubber walls. The capacities need to be managed. And the objective of any DC of this nature and this is a global issue, not just one unique to Sri Lanka, is to keep all the moving parts in synchronization and balance. So the reality is if things become too lean, there's not enough resource to do the job, or that resource is inadequate, then store service will be compromised. If there's too much, you get waste, you get poor efficiency, cost, and the whole operation can become unviable. It's a very fine balance with fine margins, and the consequences can be exponential. So the challenge has to do two things. The first thing is to provide a planning model that basically determines the optimum balance that you need to provide the service to the stores with the resources that are required. So it looks at the cost, the service requirements, and so on. It also has to take in unplanned events, everything from a staff shortage to a pandemic. This is a fairly routine resource planning exercise, but this will provide a platform for the second objective. And this is where we're looking at the real-time resource monitor that examines the operational activities. Now, with the best will in the world, any plan has to be subject to some sort of change. And what this tool needs to do is to pick up on the signals where that plan has changed and be able to recognize that there are changes that needed to provide a nuance or a fine-tune the overall plan. We can get to see where the operation is not meeting its KPIs or service criteria, and some of this specs were highlighted in the challenge statement. I can best describe it and liken it to an engine management system. Most cars today have a tool that can manage the efficiency, the performance, and tell you what to do on any modern motor car. This is effectively what we're looking for, an engine management system for a warehouse that can provide this overarching control to keep everything in balance, so you don't get wasted cost, resources, or capacity. I think what's appealing about this challenge is that it's not unique to Keells. Every modern retail supply chain faces the same challenges, this balance between service and optimal costs. Some deal with it better than others, but this tool had the same appeal for a centralized retailer in Asia, America, Europe, or anywhere else. Indeed, we could also adapt this to our own stores, because the principles of cost and service are evident there 7 days a week. Difficult to give you a more complete or detailed analysis than the time allowed, but hopefully this has given you a flavour for the scope and the potential for this challenge.